Hey everybody, welcome to $2 Horror. My name is Matt Eddy. Summer may be over, but summer camp slashers are never out of season. This month I watched 2024's Canadian slasher, In a Violent Nature. Written and directed by Canadian filmmaker Chris Nash. This movie is just kind of like a Jason fanfic almost. These people who have rented a cabin for a little vacation or whatever, young 20-somethings, they find this old abandoned shed and there's like a locket hanging on it. They steal the locket. This awakens the hulking mute slasher. As with the rest of this movie, this felt like, I don't want to call it lazy, but it felt like they could have developed something a little more than just like amulet gone, gotta get up and kill everybody. They could have come up with something a little more interesting. This whole movie, if I'm gonna get right to it, I had this overwhelming sense of just missed opportunity. So this movie has a really interesting gimmick in that we're following the killer. We're largely in the killer's perspective. So we're in a 4:3 aspect ratio, to give it a little artsy kind of flair, I suppose. And we're walking through the woods with him a lot. There's a lot of like third-person shooter kind of video game perspective where we're walking behind the killer and he's framed from like his waist or his knees up. And there's not a lot of music playing during these scenes, so you just like hearing the leaves crunching underground as he trudges on. And it's really cool for a little while, but at a certain point, you're only encountering the other characters as he's like watching them. So you pick up little bits and pieces of like their personalities and kind of what's going on in their lives, but there's no real character development for them or for the killer for that matter. I mean, he's just a mindless killing machine. So there's not really a story told. You get little tidbits here and there. There's a campfire scene where one of the kids is like telling the legend.
Johnny's dad was the guy that ran these stores, and they hated him for it. And they used to take out their anger on Johnny. It all came to a head one day when one of the drunk loggers tripped and broke his ankle on one of Johnny's toy cars. He was out of work for months.
Of the killer of this area, you get a little more exposition from a park ranger a little later in the film.
He's gonna be coming for all of us. We have...
There he is.
But by and large, you're not really getting much of a story, and the walking behind the killer gimmick falls a little flat after a little while. I just felt I needed a little more. I mean, I know it's like a slasher, and plot and characters are like secondary to an extent, but it felt lacking to me. The same with the cinematography. I know people are raving about it. A lot of people are saying this movie is beautifully shot and everything, and there are some really magnificent scenes. In particular, there's a kill that happens in a lake. A girl's out there swimming in a lake. The killer kind of walks in there, and there's like this long shot of not much happening. The girl's like way in the distance in the background of the frame, and you know that the killer's like making his way slowly underwater to her, and we cut to a different angle of the lake, and you know she gets pulled under, and it's really good. It's a really effective shot. But I found the photography, like the framing, a little uninspired. You can watch a movie like Godland, which definitely uses the 4:3 aspect ratio, and in every frame in that movie is a photographic masterpiece. It's like a excellent portraiture in photography. It's just every single frame is stunning. I highly recommend that movie. So knowing what you can do with that sort of, you know, that 4:3 aspect ratio and these like these nature shots, because you know we're out in the woods and everything, you can do a lot with framing and light and shadow that I just didn't, you know, I wasn't wowed by the photography in this movie. Check out Slow West with Michael Fassbender. There's a lot of really excellent photography out in the woods in that movie. Long Legs, just recently, they use 4:3 aspect ratio in like scenes that take place in the past. They do it more effectively than in this movie. This whole movie just kind of felt like a proof of concept, much more than like a fleshed out feature. Having said that, the kills are a lot of fun. There's some really good kills in there. The centerpiece kill, Yoga Girl, if you've seen this movie, it goes a little overboard for me. It got to a point where, like, this is cartoonish. I don't even understand how this is happening. So the whole movie just felt like that for me. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just like, why did you make these choices? Like, this could have been better if some more forethought had gone into it. Likewise, as I said earlier, the killer was just kind of this generic mute Hulk. He was definitely meant to be Jason Voorhees without explicitly being Jason Voorhees, and the movie is a paint-by-numbers camp slasher. So there's nothing like... I feel like this follow the killer's perspective for most of the movie device could have been much better utilized in a different setting. You know, put this guy in like a, I don't know, an interesting art museum or something. You know, there's a museum in Columbus, Ohio, where there's like all these neon light art pieces and everything, and there's all these different rooms with mirrors. Like, put a guy in there, and then, you know, you have something really special, I think. So, like, really eye-catching photography. It just felt like this is a Jason fan movie, and at the end of it, I didn't know what the point of this movie was. That's like the real, when you get right down to it. I just didn't understand why this movie needed to be made. You know, outside of the gimmick of following the killer, it didn't say much. It didn't say much about, like, the slasher genre or horror movies in general. It didn't really have like some sort of social message or anything. So it's just like, it felt like it had one idea, and then it made the whole movie around this one idea, which was follow the killer around. It's fun. I'm not saying don't watch this movie. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm not recommending it, but at the end of the day, I mean, you could watch a Jason movie and get the same thing out of it. You could watch one of the Halloween entries and get the same thing out of it. So, I mean, I was looking for a little more innovation, I suppose, for the way that people were like raving about how good this movie was. It just didn't it didn't really hit that spot for me. But like I said, it's worth a watch. I mean, it was a really popular movie. It's getting a lot of praise. Maybe I just am missing the point. You know, maybe I'm too stupid to get it. That's very possible. I am pretty stupid. So, you know, give it a shot. It's fun. It's got some really great kills. It does have good cinematography in it, in spite of everything I just said. There are some really beautiful frames, and it can be interesting. I just don't think it was worth 90 minutes or however long this movie ended up being. This could have been a short film as a proof of concept that, you know, it just needed a little more fleshing out, I think. There needed to be more meat on these bones. Just wasn't there for me. Anyway, my name is Matt Eddy. Don't let people give you shit for watching movies all the time because their world sucks. This has been $2 Horror, and we will see you next month. Have a good evening, day, morning, whatever it is for you. So long.